Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasty, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner-operator of Something Wicked Entertainment Event, and I want to welcome you to our program in which me and my special guest take an individual film from the Hammer Studio vault, and we kind of critique, analyze, have a conversation about that particular film. Now, if you've been with us over the last year, you know that this show comes out once or twice a month, the first and third of every Friday of the month, and we just kind of get into the nitty-gritty of these amazing 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s movies because they're so much fun, and we hope that you are going to have fun as we discuss them. Now, today's movie is The Reptile from 1966, and to talk about this film with me, I have brought on the amazing Mr. Thomas Tinnerello. He is an avid Hammer Studio fan, so it's going to be great talking with you. Thank you so much, Thomas, for joining us on the program today.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for that very hurried and obviously not rehearsed introduction. I appreciate it very much.
We don't rehearse anything on this program. We go with the flow because it's a conversation, Thomas.
That's right. Although it has structure of a kind.
That being said, what we love to do, everyone, is because neither one of us were alive when the film was first released, we do have different perspectives on when we saw this particular film. So I'm going to ask you, Thomas, what exactly were your first impressions, and when exactly did you see this film for the first time?
Well, part of the reason why I suggested this film go on the list in the first place is that this is one of the few movies that I remember. You know what? It might even be the first Hammer movie I saw, now that I think about it. Wow. Dang. Yeah. Because I remember I have very vague flashes of memory of seeing this movie on Dr. Paul Bearer's Creature Feature on Saturday afternoons at about 12:30 in the afternoon. If you grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, like I did, you would look forward to Dr. Paul Bearer coming on about 12:30. And he was this great horror host, a classic horror host in every sense of the word. He had his mortician's outfit, makeup, and cadaver on and everything. And he, he would say, I'll be lurking for you at the end of every episode. And he was a much beloved member of the community and everything. I've talked about him before, but in case y'all haven't heard, I'm not sure if I mentioned him on this show, on the spin-off show yet, but yeah, he got so famous to the point where he would be like, he had a float in like the Gasparilla parade down in St. Pete when I was growing up. He started the show, I think, in like the late 60s. So not quite the year this movie was released, but a little bit later. But his St. Pete show, I think, started around the late 70s. And he kept going on at it until he died in 1995. So this is where I saw a lot of these kinds of movies. This is where I saw my first Godzilla movies, was on Dr. Paul. Yeah. So Dr. Paul was kind of my introduction to this. And I guess to Hammer in general, because I don't remember seeing any of the Hammer Draculas or Frankensteins before that. I mean, I mentioned this on the Frankenstein Created Woman episode, but I do remember seeing segments of this of Frankenstein Created Woman on Creature Features. But I don't remember seeing the whole movie. I saw almost the whole movie of this one. And as I rewatched it, I was like, there's very little of this movie that is reliably transferred from my very young kid brain. I'm not sure how old I was when I saw this. I must have been 10, 8, 9, in that little very tender age when I saw this terrifying reptilian face. Full disclosure, too, I am terrified of lizards and snakes, especially snakes. Um, there is actually a particular kind of lizard in St. Petersburg and the lower parts of Florida that I'm particularly scared of. But thankfully, they don't exist up here in Georgia. But like the those are like the two main like bits of reptiles that I am terrified of. So the idea of a woman, a person, a human-ish thing that is a snake person is very, very terrifying to me. So like the only thing I remember from this movie when I first saw it was the feeling of dread. Like this movie, I had no idea what to expect from it. I didn't even know what it was. I just knew what it was called because Dr. Paul would have the title card for the movie while the commercial between commercial breaks, and it would just stay up there for an ungodly long period of time while this creepy kind of harpsichord music played in the background. And sometimes it would come right back to the movie after that. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would go back to another commercial and then abruptly come back to the movie. But I just remember that face, and I remember seeing the house burn down at the end and the credits. That's all I really, really remember now after watching it. I realize now that's all I really remember from this movie. And watching it again today, finally in all its glory, and thankfully we were able to find a digital copy of it that was really good quality too, I might add. It, just gonna put my hand out there early, Kevin. I freaking loved this movie. This was really, really good. Um, yeah, and we'll get into it, but man, I had a great time with this the other day. And I'm so glad that I got to reacquaint myself with something that terrified me as a child.
Interesting. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you this because I actually did not see this film until more recently. This was one of the Hammer Studio films I couldn't find for a long time, and then, of course, I think it was Shout Factory or Scream Factory who did a really good Blu-ray of it. So I saw it maybe 4 years at the most for the first time. Um, and I probably was not in the best of moods because I didn't remember it until I rewatched it. I For some reason I always remember the face of the reptile woman because it's other anthologies and other people have always referenced that image, so I was always familiar with the image of her. But when I rewatched it, I enjoyed it a lot more, trying to figure out why I didn't remember this movie. So I can't even fathom. The thing is, I gave it an 8 out of 10 stars on IMDb, but I couldn't remember the movie at all. And which is sad. I think that was during my time when I was trying to watch a whole bunch of Hammer movies at the same time, and I kind of made note of my ratings for it, and then it kind of just slipped past me because I didn't grow up on it. And that happens. Some of the Hammer movies I didn't grow up with, so I hadn't seen them till much later, and I believe that's one of the reasons why this one didn't stick with me. But after rewatching it for this show and this program, it's one of those things where I'm finally getting able to appreciate the amazing films that Hammer did, and I was able to take the time out to actually pay attention and actually really enjoy the movie. And I, like you, I was like, oh, this is a really tight movie. This is really, really good and well done, and the actors are really good in this movie. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to go out and bring this back up more often in my rewatch. So that's kind of like
Yeah, oh, cool. Yeah, it's like it's one of the few. I don't know why it's hard to find because really, more people should know this. I think maybe it's because it tends to get overshadowed
Mhm.
by Hammer's more well-known uh, IP and their older Gothic stuff that's an adaptation of something. This is not an adaptation. This is an OG original, so far as I'm aware. It is also one of the few things that makes Hammer really stand out from the Universal. Of course, we know is the admission of the sorry is that it's in color and there's blood and sometimes boobs. There's no boobs in this one, but you get the idea. Uh, but that's what Hammer is known for. And this one is not a readaptation of anything or a new spin on pretty much anything. It's just this thing that comes out of nowhere and you don't really have any idea what to expect. But it's also one of the few instances where um, Hammer kind of makes itself different from Universal in another way, in that it leaned more into female monsters than Universal did. Like Hammer had more than a few good ones.
Yeah.
Like Hammer had the Gorgon.
Organ.
Hammer had Countess Bathory.
Mhm.
Hammer had Carmilla. And Hammer had the Twins of Evil. And then Hammer had the Reptile. And I'm also thinking, like, I know I'm missing one. Like there was the female mummy, and which mummy movie was that? That was like the blood. Was it Blood for the Mummies too? I'm not sure. The one where it's a queen at the end. I can't
I
remember.
think that might be it, but we haven't gotten to that one on the program yet. So,
Okay, yeah, because one of the Hammer mummies is a lady. So there's got that, and also like was now I'm probably wrong on this, but like was Blood on Satan's Claw a Hammer flick?
I don't think so. It's not. I don't. I have to double check to be on the safe side, but I'm not sure.
Okay, well, if it was, then that means the witch from that movie is also a Hammer female monster, which would be awesome. But I doubt that it is. But it would be cool if it was. So
No.
yeah, like they've got at least one, two, three, four. They got at least 5 of them. And unlike Universal, who had 2, and one of which, The Bride of Frankenstein, was only on screen for about half a minute. The other one I'm thinking of course, is The She-Wolf of London, but we won't dwell on that.
Not yet. We haven't done a show on that, but that is coming up this year. Or on the other podcast, Conversations in Horror, we are going to be delving into the werewolf cycle of films from Universal. So, classics, dude. We love these classics. Let's get into this film. Shall we?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So,
part of what makes this movie interesting too is that Hammer liked to save money on production by filming a bunch of movies all at once in the same location. And this movie is part of like a glut that they did with what was it? So this movie was shot in Cornwall, which is the county. It's not really a country. It's not a state. I'm not sure what the UK calls the little state segments of Britain. I don't know. Sound off in the comments if you're across the pond and you know, because we don't, because we're ignorant Americans and we didn't do that much research. But Cornwall is like according to Wikipedia, it is the southern and westernmost point of England. And it is known for its beaches, although you don't see any of them in this movie. But yeah, their same Cornish village was assaulted by zombies in Plague of the Zombies, which was shot at the exact same time as this movie. And also Rasputin, the Mad Monk, was shot at the same time as this. And of course, the classic Dracula movie we've already done, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, shot in the same studio lots as this movie. So all these kind of put together. There's one other, I think, that they squeezed in, but I can't remember the name of it at the moment. So that's part of what makes this interesting, is that you could watch both of those. You could probably watch this on a double bill with Plague of the Zombies and be like, oh yeah, it feels like the same universe.
oh Jesus! With the exception of Christopher Lee and Pierre Cushing playing different characters, I kind of always look at these movies as being within the same universe, just kind of one town over from each other.
Oh yeah, but also, you know who else is like a watcher type figure who assumes different forms in that respect. I mean, this movie has Michael Ripper again as Tom the tavern dude. I call him Tom the tavern guy.
Yeah,
so
but he's got a pretty big role in this film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is not always the case in a lot of the Hammer films. He's either like a side character, or he plays a much more defined role. But in this one, he's actually a much better character, so to speak, to some of the other ones he's done that we've discussed. That is, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. And he's joined in this movie by Noel Willman as the mysterious and very hobbled Dr. Franklin, who lives across the way and provides so much angst to our main characters. Noel William, who is probably known for he was in Hitchcock's the original Man Who Knew Too Much, and he was in Doctor Zhivago as this character named Raisin. He also did Bro Brummel and a bunch of other British movies that I have no idea because I have not seen any of these.
Oh Jesus!
But he was also so then they have Valerie Daniel playing. I'm sorry, Jennifer Daniel playing Valerie Spalding, the wife to our hero Harry George Spalding, who I don't even think they even say his first name more than once, so I just kept calling him Spalding.
Yeah.
He's played by Ray Barnett or Ray Barrett. Ugh, my pronunciation is really bad tonight, so I don't know if I'm gonna make it through any of these names that are very English. I shouldn't have any problems with it.
Yeah, I'm about to say you shouldn't have any problems with these, dude.
I know, right? Well, the last thing he has done. Nope, he died back in 2009, but he was still making movies up till the point he died. He had a big part in Australia with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman, apparently. And he was also a voice on The Thunderbirds Are Go as John Tracy. I think I watched one of those when I was a kid, and I thought, this is puppets. This is lame.
Oh Jesus, I love those Thunderbirds, dude.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh, okay. The machines were pretty cool, and of course, last the monster herself, Anna Franklin, played by Jacqueline Pierce, who was also in other Hammer classics. Let's see, and I forgot to write them all down. Yeah. What else did Jacqueline Pierce do? She did a lot of stuff. Anyway, but wasn't she in the Gorgon as well?
I'd have to look to be 100%. I hate not being 100% because I didn't think about looking that up.
Oh, but she was in Plague of the Vampires.
Yes.
So she probably did this and then immediately went across the street to Plague of the Vampires, where she played Alice in this one. In fact, I'm not mistaken.
Zombies?
Yeah, Plague of the Zombies.
Okay, no, you said Plague of the Vampires, so I was thinking either Plague of the Zombies or Kiss of the Vampire. I'm trying to figure out which one you were talking about.
I'm sorry, but yes, the titles of these things can get very odd. They can get tangled up in my brain. So sometimes, yeah, that can happen. But yeah, so she is, as we mentioned here, one of the few Hammer female monsters. Although she hated wearing the makeup for this creature that she plays. In fact, she vowed after this movie she would never wear creature makeup again.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because she said it was super uncomfortable, and she's obviously blind as a bat while she's wearing it. And on top of all that, she has claustrophobia, or had claustrophobia. Unfortunately, Miss Jacqueline Pierce left this earth in 2018. So rest in peace there. Yeah. But yeah, her work lives on in this movie.
Which this movie just gets right into the story because we have someone get killed right off the bat in this, which is always how it happens. But what's his name? Because we learned about him later, who gets killed, but he kind of stumbles into the house. Did you remember if there are a reason why the character stumbles into Franklin's house at all?
There is no good reason given whatsoever.
I was thinking I may have missed something on that, but he just literally just stumbles into the house, and obviously he encounters the reptile and dies, and then immediately goes to kind of like the burial of this guy. God, what's his name?
He's Spalding. He's the other Spalding brother.
Okay, I was like, did they give him a name? He's just Harry's brother. I would just call him Harry's brother.
No, I think he's Charles Spalding. There's always a Charles in these movies. But yeah, so hey, he's probably Harry's brother Charles, because actually his name is on the tombstone at one point.
Yeah, I think it's Spalding. Oh, okay, maybe it says more than Spalding. But the Spalding brother dies, and then we see his funeral like the next moment in this film. And then it really cuts really fast to to get us into the story, Spaulding's brother, which is Harry, who, like you just said, I think is mentioned Harry once in the whole movie.
Yeah, but I do think, now that I think about it, I do think that there was a reason for or let's call him Charles, older brother,
Mhm.
probably did go over there, is because he had some kind of note. Somebody gave him a note. And at that point, we don't see what's on the note, though. We have no clue. But whatever he saw on that note bothered him. And it bothered him so much that he had to go across the lawn to his neighbor's house. Because the way this is set up is there's a big giant mansion, a very gothic looking mansion with dragon statues in the front. It almost looks like the mansion from Legend of Hell House, the Richard Matheson movie with Roddy McDowall. It almost looks like that. I don't think it's the same place, but it looks kind of like that. But like literally, it's almost like a kind of Airbnb type situation where like you can live on the cottage on the property, but you have to face the giant mansion with the creepy guy with the Dracula cape and the cane, who's a doctor, but he's not a medical doctor. He's a theologian and has a weird, mysterious, vaguely Indian servant who says nothing and creeps around everywhere.
Yeah, that's still a little odd to me there too. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think he got a note. And what's interesting too is like that scene makes a little bit more sense when you watch the movie again, because then you realize that a lot of these things, like him creeping into the house for no reason, him getting a note, him creeping into the house, getting attacked by the reptile at a particular door, in a particular hallway, in a particular room, all that stuff gets repeated later. So, because later on, I think what part of what motivated his younger brother to go into that mansion was that they got a note from Dr. Franklin's daughter Anna saying,
Yeah.
"Help me." So I think what happened, so I think what happened to Charles is Anna tried the same thing, and she probably keeps trying this, although it doesn't explain. Well, I mean, it doesn't explain the other victims, though. I think Crazy Willie or whatever his name was, probably was just snooping around too close and was blabbering the secrets a little too much. So that's probably the reason why he met his untimely end. But we'll get to him when we get to him. But yeah, I think it's the whole thing is the note that we don't see, and getting into this house and the reptile.
That makes sense, though. That makes a lot more sense to me, because that was bothering me why he just stumbles over there. That would makes much more sense to me. That
Yeah. What didn't make sense to me at first was that they show him out in the moors.
Yeah.
In what is supposed to be night. It looks more like early morning because hammer day for night never looks quite like night because blue filter doesn't quite work in the version we get over here. But there's like a shadow of a person that's following him, and I thought that was the reptile. That's Anna in reptile form. She's stalking him. Then later on, though, you find out that, and again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but we find out that the only thing that can really kill her is the cold. The cold will kill her. So it makes zero sense, though, for her to be out of the house stalking people when the house is nice and warm. So that wasn't her. That shadow was the creepy, vaguely Indian servant who says nothing until like midway through the movie.
Yeah.
So that had to be him. So yeah, now it makes more sense to me. But at the time, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's how I kind of felt too, a little bit. Some of the stuff didn't make a whole lot of sense. But now that you put it in perspective, some of this stuff is probably gonna make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I may have been missing some of these details, I still enjoyed the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy mystery. I mean, in one sense, you step back and look at this, even though it is an original story, it plays and is structured kind of just like a Hammer vampire movie. Mm-hmm. Like the reptile person is basically a vampire, and she has the same kind of power set, except that she's a cobra person, but she bites people on the neck, 2 puncture holes to the neck, lives in a gothic mansion, has an underground lair, can be killed by a natural element. Yes, this sounds very much like a Hammer vampire.
Except in fact, she doesn't seem to have any real control over it.
Yes, she's cursed. That's the one main difference.
Cursed, yes.
Yeah, she's cursed to become this animal, which is also this half animal, which is kind of werewolf-like too, if you think about it. Although they never really settle on like the rules of when she turns. So that's kind of weird. Like I thought it was once night happens, she turns, but later on there's a scene where Dr. Franklin, he doesn't invite them, but his daughter does, invites her new neighbors, Veronica and younger brother Spalding, to their house to eat dinner, and she's there. All regular. Jacqueline Pierce is all human. So it's like, okay, night has fallen. She's not snaked out. So, and they never explain at all what needs to transpire in order for her to become a snake. I guess the closest thing we get is like maybe creepy Indian manservant thing guy. Maybe he controls it. Yeah. What was his name?
I think he's the Melee. That's what I think, because they don't really call him anything in the actual movies. That's just what I saw in the credits. So I think that's who that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a British guy in brown face, and that's not cool, but that's that's what it is. But yeah, I think he's got some way to turn it on and off. Because yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been cool though to see some kind of transformation where like the reptile sheds her humans, like a human skin is shed, and then underneath is the reptile. But they do something like with that physiology later on.
Later on. Well, that's the thing is it's very interesting with the mythologies that they try and create. It's a little sad that they weren't able to utilize it for yet another movie, kind of like the cycle of the werewolf. They do one werewolf movie.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get to that later when we speculate on what a franchise of this might have been.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what's cool about this movie is that unlike Dracula and unlike Frankenstein or zombies or the Mummy, you have no idea what the heck is going on. You have zero idea what this monster wants, what this monster, I mean, you can kind of tell what it is from the video cover, but you don't see it until like more than halfway through the movie. And it's really well done in a suspense thing. I mean, the scares are so well structured and the mystery is so compelling.
I like the mystery too. Yeah.
Yeah, that you have no idea what's going on and you want to know. You don't know what can kill this thing when she starts off. You don't know, how it happened. You just know that her dad's a theologian. He's a jerk and he's been all over the world. He's been to India, Sumatra. He takes his daughter with him everywhere. And there's some kind of awful secret going on. And people are dying of snake bites. Dying of snake bites that turn their faces black and their necks all swollen. They call it the Black Death, which, yes, surely that's not a original IP that you're calling your plague here. That's very very original of you, people from Cornwall.
Everything was the Black Death back then.
Why has it got to be black though? So apparently, like. The story proper starts with like after his older brother's death and burial. Our Hammer couple, always young and sweet and strappingly handsome and beautiful, come in and they realize that they have just inherited everything their brother had, which wasn't much, but they inherit his cottage, and they go in. They find the cottage has been ransacked and just wrecked. And they're like, well, I guess we have some work to do. And I love how Veronica just like, at first they come in, because they're like newlyweds, and they come in, he's like taking her across the threshold, and it's like, oh, the cottage looks great on the outside, but on the inside it is wrecked. Like someone was looking for some, microfiche or something in there, or some kind of, spy stuff in there, but nope. And she's just like, I love how she just like stiff upper lips it very Britishly and says, well, we've just got some work to do, that's all. And she just starts trying to pick up the broken stuff, and it's great.
Yeah, well, it is, but then, of course, the Harry goes back. I think this is where he goes back to the pub. Yeah, he goes.
Yeah.
I actually like what they do with the pub and Harry and oh my god the Tom's role in this film, because I'm so used to Tom, or what's his real name? I forgot his name is
Michael Ripper.
Michael Ripper. Michael Ripper. I'm so used to his characters being like a pub owner who doesn't really care about the characters who are integrated into the story. But in this one, we actually really like Tom Bailey. He was actually he actually seemed like an authentic type of barkeep. Like he knows his locals real well. He wants to be good with them, and of course, Harry and his wife are new to the town, and he's just right there with them. He's just not trying to dissuade them of anything or anything like that. He's just trying to teach them that the locals are much different than what Harry and them are associated with, and because Harry comes in there kind of accusing them of someone from there from ransacking the house. And that's a good scene in that pub that showcases these type of people, which are a far cry from some of the other bars and people we've encountered in other Hammer films that we have talked about. This one seems to me to be almost more authentic than, say, the bar keeps in the situation that was in like American Werewolf in London bar sequence at the beginning, which
or
is
the one in Scars of Dracula.
yeah, Scars of Dracula. Yeah, that's why I say that those seem like that's the norm for the Hammer movies, and then this one seems like the odd one, but it's just much more. It makes all the characters seem more realistic in this film.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and I think it's funny how like Tom, the tavern dude, he's not even mad at the guy for clearing out his tavern twice. Like every time he comes in, all the village people just like take their beer, take their pint, and just skedaddle. They skedaddle slowly and just go away. And he's like, I better. Hey, you're gonna jerk me out of business here. But what do you want? But he doesn't. He's like, he doesn't. He's scared of what's going on, like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, he's like, yeah, I am going to help you after all. So like he's going to help you when the plot is convenient for them. But when he finally does, that's when the point is you start unraveling this mystery a little bit.
Yeah.
But then he ends up being like, spoilers, folks. He kind of ends up killing the monster himself.
Yeah.
At the end. So yeah. Pretty rad.
Well, yeah, and so while Harry's away, of course, we get what's his name, Franklin. Franklin kind of, I think is where he first drops off by the house and meets Valerie, which is a very interesting kind of interaction between these two characters, because he's looking for his daughter who is, I guess, escaped again out of his hands. I always think that what's his Noel Willman, this one character sometimes may have gone a little bit overboard compared to everyone else, but I kind of got like, it's okay. This is such a different type of story that I was like, it's okay.
Yeah, you're right. He does seem a bit arch at times, and a little stiff at other times. Yeah, he can't quite.
Go.
I was gonna say he can't quite figure out the keel he's supposed to be on. Although he is consistent with his crutch and his cane thing. At least he's consistent there.
Yeah, it's not till later in the film that when we actually hear the story of how his daughter supposedly was cursed and everything he had to go through, that we feel a little bit more empathy for him. But up until that point, we're like, man, this guy's a dick. But yeah, because he just kind of like shows up and he gives everyone the bad feeling, even though he's looking for his daughter. We should be like feeling for him. He's looking for his daughter, but it's like, not really. And for the most part, the Valerie character is a very interesting character. It's not always just a side female character in the story. So,
yeah. And then at one point, we're introduced to like the crazy drunk of what was his name? Mad Peter. Oh yes, Mad Peter. Like, okay, so I was gonna say here, part of my delight in this movie is that there were not one, not two, but three, maybe four, but definitely three really effective and intense jump scares in this movie. This is a movie made in 1966. I did not expect to be scared out of my. I did not go like, whoa! I did not expect that for a movie made in 1966 to do that to me, to make me. And I'm forced to watch it on my tiny little on my iPhone too. But man, the first moment that freaking Spalding, who we're watching, the man Spalding, manly man, he's out there on the moors, and we hear that flute. There's this weird sounding Arabic flute that everyone's afraid of because that flute means death. That's usually when all the victims, before they get bitten, that's usually what they hear. And we never really know exactly who's playing that flute. We assume it's the Malay, I guess, but we never see him do it. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, it's just there. It has a really eerie quality to it. And there's a stillness in the air before it happens. And then all of a sudden, bam! Mad Peter comes flying out of the bushes and tackles Spalding to the ground. And it scared the crap out of me. I was like, yeah. And then he's just like, what? Peter's like, why did you attack? The guy, he's looking at Mad Peter like, why did you attack me? He's like, why did you attack me? And he's just crazy. And then they have a meal with him, and he's delightful. But then later on, he's outside, and he scares us again with his freaking freaky face in the window. That scared the crap out of me. Like the stingers that they do in the music are just so well timed and so well placed. It got me, and I'm like, bravo to you. And then, of course, the third one is the final reveal of the reptile itself. And the way they do that is just, I mean, those first two jump scares are, they're fake outs, but they're really good fake outs. It's not like these stupid, some of these slasher movies from the 80s, but they're very cheap, fake out scares. This is a cheap. It just sounds stupid to say this way, but those first two jump scares are good cheap fake out scares, I guess. It's you want to see it done right? Watch this movie. But when you finally reveal the monster and it clamps its reptile teeth on somebody's neck, I was not expecting. It scared the crap out of me, especially when I was watching it late at night. This is a movie, ladies and gentlemen, you probably should watch late at night when it's dark. It will have a much more pungent effect on you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think both times I saw this was in the middle of the day. So I don't think I got the jump scares nearly as much as you did. But when I rewatch it, I definitely will check that out. The thing is, a lot of these, you're right. For Hammer Studio films, I'm never expecting jump scares, especially in this time period. So if those are effective jump scares, then that behooves them. But it was the mid 60s, so they were really good at doing some really creative shit in the 60s, which is why I think most of their best films came out of the 60s, actually. So
yeah, 60s and early 70s, because like 1970 is when you get some of the crazier, more risk-taking ones from both the Dracula and the Frankenstein franchise in that regard. So yeah, for sure. It was a great time, man.
All right.
But yeah, we never really know exactly why Mad Peter is mad. He just says that he wasn't always this way. And he says the village is an evil place. And so this kind of puts this Cornish village, in a firmly set tradition of Hammer, which is like the cursed village, the cursed town. There's always one, for the Dracula franchise, it's Carlsbad. For the Frankenstein franchise, it's Carlstad. And for this, of course, it's the unnamed Cornish village that this movie takes place in. I don't think they ever say the name.
Carlsmoor.
Really? Is that the name?
No, I don't. I'm just making some stuff up, dude. I don't know.
Dude, no, that could be it. And this, you never know.
Oh Jesus! No, I think, like, I try to remember the same thing with the Gorgon. I don't know if they actually named that place either. I don't know because we did that so much earlier in our process here at the show, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, when we're watching the Dracula movies, those towns gotta be within like 5 miles of each other because the names are so damn similar. And we can't lose track of where each of those films takes place at. This one doesn't even bother to decide because, in theory, this could happen anywhere. So, uh, what happens?
Yeah, although it feels very British, and it
Yeah.
feels very British and very rural. At least it's not like it's not like the Hammer Frankensteins where they're all British pretending to be German.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this weird disconnect, or French pretending to be, or they're pretending to be French. They're not pretending to be anything. They just are what they are in this.
Yeah.
So there's that. Although this movie, I should probably mention, this is a period movie, although it's not specific what period it is. It's vaguely late 1800s, maybe turn of the century. I thought I read somewhere in IMDb that officially in the novelization of this movie says that it takes place in 1903.
Really?
So, yeah, that's what I read.
Okay.
Yeah, the novelization of this movie, I think, was I don't think they ever released it in like by itself. I think they released it as part of like an anthology, and I can't remember.
Oh, I don't have this one. You know me.
The name.
I've got a lot of the novelizations that they have recently republished, but I don't have the Reptile. I don't know if they made one of that or not. It'd be cool to see because they probably go into details on all the stuff that we think is missing from the film itself. But I think the film flows really well. I just think that some of those little specific details are just missing. But to be honest with you, I never noticed them really until now when we're discussing it. So
Yeah,
so.
I'd also love the fact that and so shortly after Mad Peter gets bit. And when people get bit, like I said, their faces turn black green. It looks like it's been smeared with coal and grease paint, and their necks get all thick and gooey, and they get foamy at the mouth. And I love how they go over to Dr. Franklin's house, thinking, "You're a doctor, you might help him." And he's like, "I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm a theologian." And I'm thinking, like, what can you do? Give him a lecture on ethics or something while he's dying? Yeah, that's pretty much all he can do.
Yeah, that was interesting to go that route with the character. It's funny when that character doesn't have many funny lines, to be honest with you. But yeah. But there is this film does, even though there's some heavy-handed themes in there, it is not a film in which is very heavy-handed. There's a lot of fun to be had in a film in which the main character is a female snake, or a monster interpretation of a snake monster. This is not like
oh gosh, I was wondering if you were going to mention that's the only other movie like this.
Oh, come on, how could I not mention that hokey movie?
Kirk Benedict.
Oh yeah, it's funny and this movie is so much superior to that film, even though I do like but if you thought that this movie was going to be like that, you will that is not the case. And you should definitely check this movie out. Then I say this out loud, because maybe one of the reasons why it's not talked about so much is people think it's.
Yeah, no. I mean, the makeup. I mean, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but like the makeup in this movie is actually really good because apparently, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, unfortunately, by today's standards, it's obviously at a certain point on your face, you're sure that it's a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But the dead-eye quality of a actual snake would kind of look like that. I mean, there's a couple of shots where the snake eyes bulge a little bit too far, but for most part, I mean, yeah, that's what a snake eye on a person, that's where they would be. That's what they would look like. And they're a little far apart because that's what it would do. In fact, allegedly on IMDb, it says that the makeup, the headpiece itself, which by the way is pretty much what this is. I mean, when we say, some people might be confused here, when we say snake person, we're not saying the Medusa from Clash of the Titans.
Oh, no.
She does not have a serpentine lower body. She is not a snake centaur like that creature. No, she has arms and legs like a human, but she is covered in scales, got claws, fangs, snake eyeballs, and human hair, actually. But other than that, she's pretty much human. So it's kind of more like a classic sort of Wolfman sort of aesthetic in that sense. Yeah, where it's mostly human. But apparently the design of the skin and everything was actually like they used a real snake skin from a cobra as their starting point.
Interesting. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so there's an authentic layout to how it looks. It doesn't have a very rubbery look to it. The forehead area especially looks very much like the shine of a reptile's skin. So, especially the snake, because that's what they're going for. And then later on, when they dig up the bodies of his brother and Mad Peter, they're like, these marks are consistent with that of a king cobra. And so that's kind of where they're going for. This is a cobra lady, although they don't try to give her a cobra's hood, but that might have been cool. But if you want to see what that would look like anyway, just rent Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid.
Dude, that's a great reference point to bring that up, dude. That's so yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, that's such a great one too. Oh, I didn't think about that. But I'm gonna be thinking about that next time I watch this movie too. Because hey, side note, me and I don't know if you were in the conversation with me and Dave Watkins said that there was a 4K of Dreamscape, and I was like, oh shit, I need to get that. I love that movie. And we have, sorry for everyone who's listening, we have not talked about that on either one of our programs yet. We will get around to it one day soon.
We promise.
Yeah, because I love the movie, and I'll probably do it when I get my 4K version of it. So it's all good. But getting back to the movie, now I'm trying to remember where we are. But
well, you know what? I think I know where we are because on my notes, I got us. Past me has got future, present me covered.
Okay.
So the thing that I noticed at this point in the movie, because I was taking these notes in real time while watching this movie, slightly annoying because like I look at myself and I'm like, I don't always watch these in one sitting, but I had like, peek behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen. I was watching this and I had like an hour left. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to watch this. It's about 10 o'clock. I got an hour left. Okay, I can watch this, get it done. I'll be done by 11:30. It was about 12:30 at night by the time I was done with this movie because at certain points I pause it, use speech to text to write a note very quickly, and then go back to watching it. So of course the time I actually end to spend watching it is sometimes double what I actually estimated the thing to be. So that's just, I think it's just my ADHD kind of brain that has no perception of how long things actually take. But anyway, where we are at is like funeral. They go to Mad Peter's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurs to me at that point that unlike a lot of other Hammer movies, they kind of do this in Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, and also not Satanic Rites, but Taste the Blood of Dracula. They kind of do this a little bit in that too. The Hammer movies, this one in particular is one of the few that I've ever seen where all the victims get funerals. All of the victims get, and they show the funerals, and you hear the, a full sentence, from the preacher or from the vicar or whatever it is, because it's clearly Church of England or Anglican at least. That's two different things, by the way. But they show it, and they show a little bit of the prayer and stuff. So, dramas do tend to show funeral scenes a little bit more because they're dramas. But like, can you imagine if they did a slasher movie where they showed or a Final Destination movie where they showed the funerals for all the victims?
Yeah, they only usually do it maybe once for one character, and that's it.
Yeah, no, but they do it for every character in this movie. I mean, I know there's only like 2 or 3 dead bodies, but still, they do it for everybody. I mean, if they did that in all movies, it'd be kind of tedious, but I think this is a pretty cool way to humanize the victims and the characters in this movie. I think it's pretty neat. I mean, I guess it's like I feel like these Hammer movies are a bit more reverent towards death than modern movies are, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, especially with this one. Yeah, because once the story starts to unfold on what's really going on with Franklin and his daughter, you kind of feel sorry for them because she is cursed. She's like the Wolf Man in the Universal films, or even Cycle of the Were Curse of the Werewolf. I was about to say Cycle of the Werewolf. That's Stephen King novel. Yeah, Curse of the Werewolf from Hammer Studios, where he's cursed from birth. And we're watching his kind of his slow descent in that one, and we feel sorry for that character in that movie, just like we feel really sorry about this one because she has nothing. Like it's not her fault at all what's happening to her. Um, so it's a little tragic what actually happens by the end of the film to Anna Franklin. I was like, damn, this is really tragic.
Yeah, and we don't really know a whole lot. I mean, we get an info dump at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
but even that info dump, there's really not enough information. I feel like there's so many things that are just left up to your imagination,
Yeah.
and it's just like, ugh. I mean, I do think it's one of the cooler things about, you mentioned the werewolf. I do think it's one of the best things about the Lon Chaney Wolfman and the mythology of the Wolfman that Universal first imposed upon the mythology of the werewolf. Because, classic werewolf mythology, generally speaking, those werewolves have a choice to change. The whole full moon change thing doesn't really occur a lot in werewolf mythology. It's more like the Howling, where they can just wolf out whenever they want to most of the time. Yeah. But the Wolfman was the first horror movie to basically not moralize their monster, because, like, I mean, I know we said this before, but, like, I promise I'll get it back in this movie in just a second. But, like, the Dracula is about the fear of strangers and foreigners. Don't trust strangers, and definitely don't have sex with strangers, because that's the implied thing of vampires.
Yeah.
I will say this is a version of the vampire, though, that is almost completely asexual. I would say there's not a whiff of it in this movie. Although allegedly Ken Russell was a huge fan of this movie and paid homage to it in Lair of the White Worm, and that's the opposite of this movie. This is a very sexual. That movie's a very sexual reptilian vampire, snake vampire thing. But that's probably where he got the idea to make that kind of vampire, from this movie. But yet with the Wolfman, he does nothing wrong. In fact, he is punished for doing the right thing,
yeah,
in the most awful way. Like, what does he do? Like, I mean, what? Okay, like, stupid people in those other Hammer things, they go to Dracula's bed and breakfast from hell and get bit, But what did Lon Chaney do? He defended his father or his girlfriend, whatever it was, from a wolf attack, and beat the crap out of that wolf with a silver cane, and he got bit for it and became a werewolf because he did the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like he's the Job of his universe. He is the one character where he's just like, the werewolf is like the philosopher from, Ecclesiastes, just kind of hairy guy with a hat, just smoking a cigarette in the corner, going, you know what? Sometimes crap happens. He's like an existentialist philosopher with hair and fangs. And with this movie, you have the same kind of thing, where there's nothing at all to suggest that poor Anna had transgressed any law or anything whatsoever. If anything, she's getting punished because, spoilers, because he's getting punished. And we're not even entirely sure what he did wrong either.
Yeah.
All the Male, whatever you call it, the evil Indian guy who's not really Indian, says is that you were meddling with forces you did not understand. We don't know what he did. All we know is that he says later on, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but, like, he says that he was trailing this snake cult across the world to Sumatra and all those places in Borneo, and he finally got them, and he finally learned their secrets. To which I reply, what secrets? Doesn't say. But apparently it was enough to piss them off enough to send some guys after him. But they didn't get him. They kidnapped his daughter.
Yeah.
who was missing for weeks. And then they send her back. Apparently now with this reptile curse, which there is zero explanation of how it got on her, any way to possibly undo it. There's no real rules about it or anything. But I guess at that point, the Mile probably came into his house. He's kind of almost like a Rasputin type character, really.
Yeah.
He assumes the form of a servant, but really he's running the show. Kind of thing.
That's how I saw him. And if he spoke more, I would be a little bit more to that character there. But he's kind of in the behind the scenes. He's always observing the other characters.
Yeah, he's always creeping around. Creeping
around. See, I didn't want to use the word creeping, but yeah, that's pretty much what he's doing. He's creeping around. And we see him every once in a while, but he doesn't say anything. We just see his eyes.
Yeah, or the one time where, and this is what made me think that he was the shadow in the first part of the movie. There's the one time where they first discover Mad Peter's corpse, and he's in there, he's propped up in their kitchen, Spalding and Valerie. And they're like, well, what do you do with him? They have to wait for the coroners to come and pick him up. And they're like, well, we can't leave him here. Let's put him in the barn. It's like, really? Well, there's something else we can do. So they pick him up, and he drags his dead body to the barn and leaves him there. And here's some weird animal sounds that I thought was a monkey, but it's not. And then later on, they get a black kitten, and then the kitten gets kidnapped, basically. I'm not sure if they ever established that little black kitten was theirs. So I feel like I missed something.
That was kind of odd, too. I thought it was odd, too. It's like, why? But I am glad they set it free at the very end, though.
Yeah, me too. I mean, animal lovers, don't worry about it, because there is a threat that is issued in this movie at one point where we're jumping all over here. But anyway, Anna shows Valerie her pets, which is this big giant like menagerie of many, many different kinds of animals that as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh no, these are not pets. These are food. This is food. This is why she didn't eat with them. These guinea pigs and rabbits and birds, a lot of doves, a lot of going on, a lot of birds. Like, oh no, she eats these things. But don't worry, guys, that doesn't happen. You don't see that. This isn't like V, where a jaw comes disconnected and just goes down one guinea pig. That does not happen in this movie. Don't worry. But during that part where they're trying to make the corpse comfortable in the barn, that's when the Mile just kind of appears. At first, he's a shadow, and then boom, there he is. And then he just goes over and like examines the body. And I thought for sure he was gonna steal the body, like make it like like the inspectors come in and is like, well, where's Bad Peter? He's like, he was right there. And I thought he was gonna do something with the body or something, but nope, he didn't. He just kind of was there creeping around, looking at Bad Peter's dead body just to confirm that he was dead. I think because later on, spoilers, when Spalding gets bit by the reptile, which shocked me. I was not expecting him to get bit, because up until that point, we've established that bite is lethal. He is Dunzo, and he was the main character, and our main character is now Dunzo. And I'm like, oh crap! But like, there is a point where after that he gets bit, and the Mile basically forces Dr. Franklin to go over there and make sure that he's dead. Make sure that the bite has done its work.
Yeah.
But by then, thankfully, Michael Ripper is, Tom, the tavern dude, is there to lie to him and tell him that he is dead and get him off the trail. But I think that's the same thing that was going on. Like it's almost like they have to lure their victims to the mansion, and then the reptile Anna kills them, and then because the bite doesn't kill them instantly,
no,
they run out and die painfully. But they have to send somebody out there to make sure the job was done. And that's, I think, what was happening there. But you don't know any of this. You got to piece all this together, ladies and gentlemen. This movie requires you to think.
Brain. Yeah, well, yeah,
Yes.
and that's one of the good things about the movie is it does have that aspect to it. I think it unlike like the Hammer Dracula films, where it's kind of always telegraphed. This film leaves a lot to be interpreted as you're figuring out the clues as you're watching the film. It makes for a much more engaging experience, in my opinion, and that's what I liked about the movie. I actually really liked that aspect of it. And I think I mentioned that on a previous episode of one of the films where they decided to do something very similar to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that whole incident with the Mad Peter's corpse, we finally see Jacqueline Pierce and see her without reptile makeup. We see human version of Jacqueline, Anna, as she's called in the movie, Dr. Franklin's daughter, and she's all like, she wants a friend so bad, and she really hits it off with Valerie, and she's like, "Oh, please, please, do say you'll come. Do say you'll come to my house and have dinner with us, please." And she's like, "Okay, sure, yeah, we'll do."
Well, she got to make friends. She's new in town. Make it.
Yeah. And they have tea and everything, and yeah, but of course, like we said, once they get there, the house is stiflingly hot. And Dr. Franklin explains, "Well, Dan and I have been all over the world in the, you know, in the east, deep in the east, and we become accustomed to the hot temperatures there." Of course, what he doesn't tell her is that there's actually a bubbling, roaring hot spring cavern underneath the house
Yeah.
that keeps the house hot, which is kind of cool when it gets down there. I wasn't expecting to see that there either.
Well, no, because it's like, where? How is this underneath the house? It seems huge down there. Like, I just decided to go with the fact that the whole movie looks cool as shit, and not try to figure out the logic for that. What I'm going to call the pit down there, which is huge. In my
Well, I mean, well, dude. You know, this reminds me of the space theory. Oh, sorry, the spatial physics defying um, catacombs underneath the bar in Dracula's Risen from the Grave.
Oh, that's
Remember?
right. That's right. I almost forgot about those.
Yeah.
You were absolutely right. I forgot about those. Those look cool as shit too, just like they do in this one. But for story reasons, it's like, huh? That's just weird. It looks cool, but it's just weird. But for this film in particular, they do mention what's down there because he calls it the Mercury River, Mercury Pit is what she goes to. She hibernates down there for a short
Whoa.
amount of time.
It's Mercury? He says that? I don't remember that.
Crap. It's in my notes. Oh man. I went to make note of it because it was like it looks cool as shit, but it was so weird.
It's Mercury? It's, oh my gosh, that would be toxic as heck. They're all gonna have mutant babies.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and figure out. Yeah, they're down there because it's sulfur streams.
I was about to say it's sulfur. It's got to be sulfur. It can't be. Of course, if it's sulfur, then that means not. If it's sulfur, not only does it mean that place that house is stiflingly hot, that means that house stinks to high heaven.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I made sure to make a note of that. Sulfur streams, and she goes down there during her whole that keeps her warm during her supposedly hibernation period. I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
except they forgot how bad it would smell, and like instantly, as soon as they were having dinner, they'd be like, "What's that awful odor?" And they'd have to like explain that.
Yeah. But like I said, it's another one of those pits that looks cool as shit on screen, but it's kind of like, where the heck are you going? Would anybody build a house with that underneath it? You know?
I don't know if it was built there. I think maybe the Miley had it done.
So
Maybe
it doesn't matter. It looks cool as shit.
I don't know. Again, we learn so much, but yet we also learn so little. There's things that are left to our imagination. Another thing that's weird is like there's this wonderful little musical interlude in the movie, as if you didn't know what else could possibly happen in this movie. There is a sitar jam session in this movie. Just impromptu, because obviously they've been all over the world, and Anna's picked up a few talents, and one of them apparently is sitar playing. And Dr. Franklin basically forces her to play the sitar. Although, by the way, before I talk about this, I do love that this trope of showing time pass in Victorian movies that I don't think anybody does anymore, which I love, is this thing where somebody enters the room, the camera's fixated on a candelabra and stays there and cross dissolves to the camera now seeing the candle very, very much close to the wick now because time has passed and the wax has melted. I thought that was cool.
But that a lot, but you don't see that anything similar to that done in this day and age anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. Somebody should bring that back.
Yeah, it's set the tone for these type of movies, dude.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so Franklin forces her to play a impromptu musical thing with this instrument that's bigger than she is. I'm not sure it is a sitar, though. Y'all out there who are well versed in Indian music and culture, sound off in the comments if you're watching us on YouTube, and let us know: is this really a sitar she plays? Because I don't think it is. Because I've seen Ravi Shankar footage where he's playing the sitar. Ravi Shankar, for those of you who don't know, is one of the greatest sitar players who ever lived. He is Norah Jones's father, the singer Norah Jones, and his instrument looks different from this one because the sitar generally is a big stringed instrument that's got a huge badunk where the bottom. It's also got a thick neck. But the sitar I've seen Ravi Shankar play, though, also has like a gourd-shaped thing up by the neck, like not on top of the neck where the strings connect, but it's like somewhere underneath it. I don't know what it does, but I've seen it. This doesn't have that. So this might be something different. I don't know. But like I said, if you guys know more than we do, which you probably do, sound off. But anyway, she plays this thing, and it just seems to get more and more intense and awkward as she's like eyes locked on her father in a very kind of progressively mean, and her cigar piece, her playing starts to get more rhythmic and intense. And then for whatever reason, it's kind of fades out, and we hear that deaf flute sound that we have no idea who's playing that. And then it comes back to the sitar, and then Franklin loses his mind and just it goes into a rage and rips the instrument out of her hand and smashes it and says, "Go to your room," basically. And like, why? And it's never explained. Like, never. I was waiting for it to be explained, like why she would provoke him like that, how she was provoking him like that. They never explain it.
I wasn't even thinking about that until now, and so that'll be something I think about again. When we watch it, because you're right. I was like, you're right.
They never explain it, but maybe it was in another. Maybe it was in a previous draft. But yeah, I think maybe it got sacrificed for time because, like we have noticed before with many of these Hammer movies, the third act of this movie definitely has a Hammer hurry up. Because at one point, like when they were getting along in the plot, I looked at the time thing and I was like, oh wow, this movie only has like 15, 20 minutes left in it. And they haven't even started the climax as well. This is gonna, and I was like strapping in for some major Hammer hurry up.
Yeah, I can see that. It is a little bit, but then we have to get to the point that the Valerie and the Anna character kind of get this really close relationship after having played this instrument. Because she wants Valerie to come back again and listen to her play. So
yeah, and it's to her that she sends the message because we mentioned earlier, the previous Spaulding met his demise because of this daggum message that was like this time put in during a rainstorm. By the way, there's a lot of rain in this movie. It almost looks. I'm not sure if it's real rain. The one in the cemetery sequence where they dig up the bodies, I don't think it's real, but some of it probably is because it's England and it's Cornish village. It probably rains quite a bit. But yeah, and it's smeared, and it's basically a note saying, "Help me, Please help me. And that's when Valerie's like, "Oh, we've got to do something." And that's right when her dutiful husband almost meets his untimely end, and that is the jump scare that really got me right in the spine. When he goes to that one room, there's a room on the end of a hall with the big double doors that the previous Spaulding went down, and he shouldn't have gone there because all of a sudden there's like a secret passageway that opens off to the right, and then bam, camera in the face of the reptile, hissing at the lens with a big stinger, and bam, she gets him right in the back of the neck. I do think it's interesting that the reptile seems to like prefer either the back of the neck by the spine or towards the jugular, but not quite. It's not a typical vampire bite scenario there. But yeah, he gets bit, and the reptile goes back into her lair. She doesn't chase him or anything, and he just staggers off, and he almost dies. And I thought for sure he was gonna die. I was like, oh wow, I guess Michael Ripper's gonna be the hero of this movie, or Valerie is gonna be the hero of this movie. But I do like that at this point, then she saves her husband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he saves his life by cutting him and draining some of the venom, I guess.
Yeah, that's my interpretation too, because he knew it was a snake bite, so that's how they kind of alleviated the poison from that. Whereas the other two people, they got bit, poison, and just kind of died because they had no way of getting it out of them. I like the aspect of this. Because we see him laid up in bed for a good portion after this. And then
we do. Yeah. And he's like, and there's like one sequence where he's having like his cross-fading nightmares where his face is like bloated and gooey and he's got a red light on him a little bit and it's cross-fading and God knows what kind of hallucinations he's having. And then like Michael Ripper looks at him and goes, well, he's through the worst of it now. But yeah, he does come back up a little weak and worse for wear. But in that brief segment, just before the third act of the movie, that is when Valerie kind of steps up and becomes the final girl of this movie.
Yeah.
Because then she goes snooping to Dr. Franklin's house. And that's when she finds some things there that are mysterious. She finds the room again with the animals, and she also finds Dr. Franklin just sitting there in a chair. And I love this when she sees him and then she hides for a little bit. And Dr. Franklin, I guess, he's already had this scene where we've learned a little bit more about his predicament, and the Miley has gotten dialogue and has just like done this intimidation with Dr. Franklin saying like, you can't get out of this. Don't even try. What'll happen to Anna if you do? You'll continue to be punished for what you did, and so will she, and all that stuff. But then Valerie observes him snapping, I guess, because he goes to his wall and takes a samurai sword off the wall, which I did not expect to see in this British movie. There's a straight up samurai sword. He unsheaths and he's like going to go kill. And the implication, I think, is he is going to kill his daughter, who is now fully reptiled out at this point. And we actually see a little bit of behind the scenes of what goes into that, because she's back in her bed in human clothes, and we see the Miley kind of chanting over her a little bit while she's just writhing, and we're not sure what the heck is going on. Later on, Dr. Franklin comes in and finds what looks like her headless corpse, but no, it's a snake skin inside the dress.
Yeah, it was cool though.
Yeah, it looks like a deflated green headless doll, basically. And I like it too. And he just like wails on it with his cane, like he's had it with this crap.
Yeah,
he's not gonna take it anymore. So he takes his samurai sword down to the pit, and he's gonna try and kill Anna while she's writhing and hibernating in her big, nice, thick, furry blanket right next to that boiling cauldron of sulfur.
Yeah, I know. It's a cool image to say the least. It's a very cool image, and the ideal that Franklin has had it up to here with the whole situation. Like he doesn't have a solution to helping his daughter, and the melee is like I can never figure out it. I like the melee is like I guess a villain, but he's like hanging around with Franklin, and Franklin feels like he's like forced to have this guy around him. It's such a weird relationship that I'm surprised he didn't kill the melee like earlier or something like that.
Yeah, I almost think that it's almost like the Melee has some other kind of magic powers. It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite British horror movies that's very underseen, probably because it's not really it's not that available in the States. But you can stream it, I think, more and more readily now, which is The Shout
The
with with Ralph Bates. Have you seen The Shout?
I have not seen that.
Heaven, you have not seen The Shout? Oh, you got to see The Shout. So The Shout is, I think it was like an 87 or something. So Ralph Bates and John Hurt are the stars of The Shout. And it takes place in Britain, but it has a very Australian kind of feel to it because there is this guy who comes to live with this couple. John Hurt is a sound engineer for movies and TV, and he's really obsessed with finding new sounds. And so this guy played by Ralph Bates tells him about this sound that's really unique called the terror shout, which is the thing that the Aborigines do to kill their enemies. And he says it's a shout that has a particular tone that if you shout it, any living thing within earshot of it will just die instantly. And like there's also kind of a sort of rending of the atmosphere that happens with it. I can't really describe it, but it's this magical thing. And basically, so he's a white guy, but he learned all these magic mystical tricks like the shout from the Aborigines. And he uses them to manipulate this couple, even to the point of basically becoming like a lord over them. And like he sleeps with the guy's wife, but his powers are so powerful that he basically hypnotizes her and he can't do anything because he'll threaten the shout. And he demonstrates the shout to him. He takes him out to the dunes, like by the coast, and has John Hurt like put stick cotton in his ears and stuff, and just lay low. And then he lets the shout rip, and it's one of the most unnerving sounds you have ever heard. The movie builds to the anticipation of what this will sound like, and then it happens, and it's just like wow. But yeah, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen The Shout, you definitely need to watch it. I would still say it is horror, so it could go on this list, but it's much more of a supernatural puzzle thriller because like I've only told you the main plot of that movie, this kind of Svengali sort of relationship between these two people and this mystic that has come in and ruined their lives basically. But really, the whole movie structure is much more intricate than that because there's a story within a story, and like there's a time jump to the present, and Tim Curry is in it too. Tim Curry is in this movie too. It's a very small part, but he's in it. It's great. You got to see The Shout.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the list. I had no idea, and I love John Hurt too, so that's good.
Oh yeah, he's great in this. So I thought that's what was going on. Something kind of like this, and God only knows. Now that I think about it, God only knows what the heck Miley was doing with Anna, because if he has that much power, he could be doing anything when she's in human or reptile form. All we know is that he is part of this snake cult.
Yeah.
And that they worship snakes. And if that's and there's also, he does say that Anna is like inhabited, like her body is an inhabitation for this thing. So there is a suggestion that maybe the reptile is kind of a spirit that's possessing her, that when it possesses her, it turns her into the reptile. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't think about that until just now when I was remembering what he said. But again, there's so much vagueness left. And all this starts happening. He starts to try to go cut his daughter's head off. And we've got 15 minutes left in this movie. And I'm like, what is going to happen?
Yeah, well, it's funny because, we have Harry, who is supposed to be laid up in bed recovering from being bit by the reptile. And he's prompted to get up. What? Because Tom's been hanging around a lot and helping Valerie take care of Harry. But what prompts him to get up? Because I know she leaves, and then Tom comes by and she's not there, so he goes up to see him. But I'm trying to remember what prompts him and Tom to go over to the Franklin's house. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot.
I think it's the smoke from the fire, because you do see the smoke coming out, because there's a fire that starts. It might also be Michael Ripper, because Michael Ripper has actually, um, Franklin came in, tried to confirm that he's dead, and Ripper told him he is dead when he wasn't. So it might have
Oh,
been
that's
Michael
right.
Ripper, yeah. But also, like, a fire starts in this movie because it's a Hammer movie, so of course it has to end with some beautiful Victorian mansion or castle or something has to burn to the ground by the end of it, or explode, or crumble to pieces. Uh, so it's a classic Hammer burning down scenario, which is sparked by the knockdown drag out fight that happens between Franklin and the Mile in this cave. They're rolling around, punching the crap out of each other, beating each other up. He tries to use the samurai sword on his poor daughter, but he can't because Mile sneaks up on him. And of course, he's got a lantern in this well-lit cave for reasons, and the lantern gets knocked out of his hand, and of course just gets onto some straw. The straw catches fire, and it's just burning inferno down there while they're fighting. And he gets the Mile upper hand on the Mile. Whatever powers he might otherwise have are completely fail him at that point, and
Mhm.
he just tosses the Mile into the sulfur.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool though.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I doubt that he's really dead though, because I think he might have survived that, especially if he's a mystical, like, priest or something. I don't think we would have seen the last of him if this had become a franchise. So, but he thinks he's disposed of him, and we think, oh, he's free. But no, Franklin kind of snaps and becomes crazy, uh, because he doesn't try to kill his daughter at that point. He just kind of leaves her to burn? Question
Yeah,
mark.
I
And
thought
then he
that
goes
was
up, yeah, and then he goes upstairs, hobbling along, and finds Valerie, locks her in the study, decides to info dump on her and us by extension.
yep.
And that's where we get all this information. And that's where we get all this information about what little we do know about how Anna became the reptile.
Yeah, look, but in the pit, it's where the sulfur stream is, it's already on fire, which makes for a very cool for the very last act because they're slowly burning the evidence down there and burning his daughter, and then up above, he feels so guilty that he has to tell Valerie everything. And you're right, it is like an info dump. So if you haven't figured out what's going on by then, you definitely will know most of it from him feeling
Yeah,
guilt.
yeah. And then for whatever reason, he locks her in the study while the smoke is coming up, and then he tries to leave, but then of course he crosses paths with the reptile, with Anna, who at first just stares at him, and he thinks he's going to be okay. He's like, okay, okay, I'm okay. He's sneaking, and then all of a sudden, she gets him
Yep.
right in the neck. She gets him, and he seems to die a lot faster than most people do by the venom, so, for reasons I don't know. But he's dead pretty quickly, and she kind of sneaks around, and tries to find somebody else to bite, I guess. And this is the point where Ripper and other Spalding, her husband, finally do break into the house. They save the kitten, or rather, she goes back for the kitten, but they try to get Anna out of there, and that's when the reptile finally comes back in to try to kill Anna, and it's just a great little scene, very vampiric, and then all of a sudden, crash! Michael Ripper comes to save the day.
Yeah, well,
Tavern Tom
it's
breaks.
it's good. Well, it's good to have that scene where it's Anna and Valerie squaring off with each other because these are two women in this film. And we don't normally get something like this unless it's a vampire film, of course, because they love to have lots of female vampires in those movies.
Oh yeah. But mark my words, though, there is no like, there's no lesbian
No,
subtext here. There's no
no,
sexual tension between
it's
them at
more
all.
friendship. It's like this. It's like friendship more so than anything else.
Yeah, no, it's very chaste. But like one thing that surprised me about that scene was that when Michael Ripper, we established before that the cold is the only thing that could kill the reptile. That the cold will kill her, and so Ripper just breaks the window behind her, and then all of a sudden the reptile speaks. I did not expect her to have dialogue. She says, the cold is too much. And she just goes on the floor, apparently dead, which I'm like, wow, but also disappointing because I'm like, this is such a fragile monster. That's all it takes.
I didn't think about it being a fragile monster until you said it, but you're absolutely right. It is. Well, it kind of reminds me of how the Gorgon was treated in that movie. You know, she's an innocent person who changes into this creature, and then of course she gets her head chopped off at the end of the movie. And here the reptile Anna dies. Yet she dies, and it's one of those things where, damn it, these women they just, they're such good characters that just die because, you know, and it's not their own faults or anything like that. They're the innocent ones that change in these films. You know, it would be different if it was one of the male characters, but these are they're innocent, and we're shown how innocent Anna is by seeing her with the Valerie character. We're like, if we didn't have that little quick relationship between those two characters, it would be a much different type of overall feeling for the Anna character.
Yeah. Yeah, and also we should probably mention again, like the animals, like Anna really
Oh yeah, yeah.
does. She really does genuinely like the animals. She's not pretending when she says that because later on, the Miley, for reasons I don't understand, gives her the black kitten that he stole apparently from Valerie, and she loves that little kitty. And at first, I was like anxious, like thinking, "Oh, is she gonna eat the cat? Is she gonna eat the cat? Please God, don't let her eat the cat." Because that could easily happen. She could. That's not too bad an effect. They could have done it with just like a split screen in there. They could have had the mouth open. They could have done anything. They could have done it right there and then. Because at this point, we don't know how much human she is when she's human. We don't know if she can flip back and forth. We don't know if the reptile will just take over at random parts. We don't know. Really, even by the time the movie's over, we still really don't know. But like, no, thank God, she just loves the kitty, and at the end, they do save that kitty. Although they never explained what happened to the other animals in
No,
that
they don't, because
menagerie. Yeah, sad.
hey,
But yeah,
by saving one, you save them all.
is that's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't buy that. No, I'm sorry, Kevin.
Well, I will say this: it's not like the scene in, I don't think you were with our conversation for a conversation in horror where we discussed Firestarter, and at the very end, the Drew Barrymore character Charlie doesn't want to kill the animals with her ability, her fire, so she lets all the animals in the barn go before she rips everyone a new one by killing everyone else. But the animals get to go free because she's not willing to sacrifice them. So we see, and it almost comes out of, like, if you didn't realize the innocence, the theme with how these characters are, like this cat that Valerie has taken a liking to, then gets kidnapped for food for Anna, and then eventually goes back to Valerie, but it doesn't get killed by the fire that's raging in the house. And, it's a very, not only a cool visual, but a very cool thematic thing that runs through this film. And these two characters, these two women characters. So
I think the filmmakers, the writers. By the way, I haven't even mentioned them, but I feel like what else did he do? He did the Pirates of Blood River. Ooh, that sounds fun. Uh, Murder Will Out, the Gamma People. Ooh, that looks fun. So yeah, he did those movies. But like, I feel like almost, and this may be a little mystical, but I feel like almost as if like they're trying to tell us that the black cat kind of represents Anna, like Anna's soul in a way. I think it's why it's a black cat. as opposed to any other kind of cat, because Anna has jet black hair, and it's like her innocence survives this in some way. It survives it by the kitten.
Okay,
But
that makes that makes a lot more sense in context of even what I was saying. So yeah, it's actually okay. I didn't think
I mean,
about
yeah, it's a very like mystical thing too. I mean, we haven't even really talked about like the thing that I think this movie comes from, the horror of this. Like we were talking about earlier, like how where Dracula's horror comes from, where the Wolfman and all that. I think this movie is kind of the horror that it comes from is a little harder to pin down, but I think it's it's British fascination and also repulsion of the Eastern cultures that they've conquered from colonialism.
Mm.
Because India, ruled by the British. I'm not sure about Sumatra. I'm not sure about some of the other places that he went to, but British people were known for, at least a certain segment of the well-to-do, were known for going to these exotic places that they had no business being, just to see the exoticness of it, just to taste the saffron, to smell the spices and see those dancing girls and see those guys with the snake charmers with their all that stuff was just Arabian Nights. All that stuff was just catnip for British society in that time period. So I think, but at the same time, there is that inherent kind of, I mean, honestly, sort of racist sort of fear of all of that stuff, the fear of the unknown, but also the fear of the not white.
I wouldn't be surprised. That actually makes that's a good point to bring up.
I'm sorry, what?
No, I said that was good. That's a good point to bring up.
Yeah, I think that is some of what creates the horror of this movie, is this whole like fascination of and also fear of the Eastern and the non-white from British society's point of view. I don't think you get this necessarily in any other Western society. You probably, I was also thinking before we were recording, like, this is such a cool movie. I wonder what it would be like if they remade it today. I'm not sure if it would really work. You'd have to like radically change the structure of it and the setting of it. It wouldn't be in a Cornish village anymore. It would probably have to be somewhere, like what would an American version of this be like? I don't know if it would even work because we don't really have, I mean, we kind of do have that in American society. Do you think we do? Do you think we have this kind of weird fascination and or repulsion of
well, yeah, because
like
think about
Eastern
it.
cultures and esoterica like that?
Well, you don't even have to do that much. I mean, you could always use some of the more religious aspects from like the Pentecostal religion, in which they use snakes within their religion. Anything like that,
Ooh.
you can kind of utilize and change
Mm.
around. I mean, if you want to have it be something that was much older, something that's like what do you call it, ancient, you can do something like that. It'd be interesting to do. I've never thought about that for this movie. It'd be very interesting to do like a modern day version of this. The same would go for if they were to do a modern day version of the Gorgon. And in theory, the Gorgon makes for like an automatic trilogy. You have one of each of the three sisters in each film, and you have a movie there. You have three movies there. You can do something really cool with stuff like that. Because they no, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
They
nobody's
have
really
made
done it.
They've done modern day Medusa movies that are like straight to streaming sci-fi original movies. Not necessarily by
Yeah,
sci
not good
those types.
ones.
But they don't look good.
No, they
I,
don't.
it would be interesting to see someone do a modern day version of some of these type of characters, like the Gorgon and the Reptile. I think it would be very cool. I still want someone to do a modern day, a new film that kind of takes the ideal for the plague of zombies and kind of does it something for modern day. I mean, I would love to see
Yeah,
something.
for sure. I mean, there's lots of different cultures that have done reptile within movies. I know that there's a few. There's more than a few snake women J-horrors from Japan out there.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, I think, oh gosh, there was I could swear there was one fairly recently that was like released here, but I can't remember it. But like, yeah, there hasn't been any good ones recently. Yeah, unless somebody has the balls to remake Ken Russell's Lair of the White Worm, which it's been very popular in the Twitter sphere probably because it got re-released on 4K. So yeah, maybe that'll happen because that would be neat, I guess. I don't know if you can follow up Ken Russell though. I don't think any of his movies have been remade now that I think about it.
I don't think any of his.
Yeah.
I would love for them to do like The Devils or Lair of the White Worm. I don't think anyone's brave enough to do a remake of those movies just yet.
No, I think we would see a remake of the Lair of the White Worm way before we saw a remake of The Devils, because I think I don't know how you sell that to modern American audiences these days, but Lair of the White Worm, you could probably seduce people into thinking it because the thinking it. That's cool. Not thinking you're gonna get all this other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes me wonder too. It makes me wonder too, Kevin, what this very well done movie would have done if only it were more successful and spawned a franchise, because that's what Hammer was good at, was making franchises to things that go on for way longer than they should have. And the problem with franchising this, though, because of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is a bit we sometimes do on the show. I tried to do a Schwarzenegger alternative for this, and it just wouldn't work. But my franchise, this bit, does work for this somewhat. It was a little difficult, though. I'll explain. So it's kind of hard, and this is probably the real reason why this movie didn't get a franchise, is because it's kind of hard to franchise this monster when it's such a fragile monster. All you have to do to kill it is just make it cold, not even freezing. It's not like Phantasm where you had to throw some ice, an ice machine, like ice cream truck at the tall man, and he's just, he would go down. But no, this guy's such a fragile monster. One whiff of cold air and she's donezo. But I got franchised this. I'll try to figure something out, Kevin, and it is. I got 6 of these. I got 6. And here we go. The Reptiles franchise. Here we go. I think the second one would be called The Reptiles Revenge. And this one, like I said, Kevin, he's not. That's the Miley. He's not dead. He didn't die. He's just burned. He's got like Freddy Krueger burns all over his body. And he chases after Anna, who is also not dead, because I'm sorry, but she's too fragile. You got to toughen her up a little bit. Yeah, the cold might kill her, but not forever. So she's back, but she's running from the Miley. Maybe he chases her all the way to Bangkok. And that's where they have their showdown, in Bangkok somewhere. So that would be the Reptiles Revenge, which we would follow up with the Reptile versus the Gorgon. Yes, Kevin, that one writes itself, I'm sure. You'd have Reptile Anna versus the Gorgon, who's now been raised. And you know what? Maybe they don't even fight each other at first. Maybe they're like, girl, I know your struggle. Girl, I know what it's like to be mostly scaly. Yeah, girl. And maybe they start to be friends until maybe they start to fight over a man. Oh, no. So that'd be Reptile versus the Gorgon. The third sequel, Coven of the Reptile, an all-girl power squad of reptile girls, not just snake ones. I'm sure we'd have like Hilda the snapping turtle girl, and they all take on Paris, because Reptile in Paris, where else would you go? That just writes itself. Number
what? I was about to add, for that one, you probably could do one that's very similar with like 5 different types of snakes. Black Mamba, the Cobra. You could do that would be kind of cool, dude.
Yes, you see, Coven of the Reptile, like a witch's coven, but they're all reptile women.
I might have to write that one down.
Yeah, there you go. And I remember, ladies and gentlemen, everything we say on this podcast, copyright 2026, Broken Lighthouse Pictures Productions, so you cannot steal it. So Coven of the Reptile, followed by Conspiracy of the Reptile. This is where Anna runs for Parliament. and discovers that there's already a bunch of lizard people in politics. And they don't like her. Dun, dun, dun. Followed up with Clutch of the Reptile. This time, Anna moves to the hot, humid suburbs of St. Petersburg, Florida, my hometown, and tries to hatch her eggs and raise her reptile spawn in the Sunshine State. That would be more of a comedy, of course.
No, that could be a sexual erotic thriller, dude. You have to do it weird. It'd be like Possession. You can do something really fucking weird with that one, dude.
Yeah, they're already remaking that with Margaret Qualley, so we'll see how that goes. But then finally, Conquest of the Reptile. This one, I would imagine has nothing to do with the original or anything really to do with Anna or snake cults or at all. This is everything to do with aliens and gene splicing and turning humans into reptiles, because every horror franchise goes to space, except in this case, space comes to the reptile with alien invaders turning innocent young women into reptile women in an attempt to dominate the earth. And that, of course, would be the final bottom of the barrel of the Reptile franchise.
Okay. So there are a couple in here I think we should definitely do as some movies. Oh my God. If we ever wanted to get through and do some cheesy movies and sell them, we have plenty of.
Yeah, I think Coven and Clutch is probably. I really the C thing just kind of came to me. I didn't even notice that. I was like, oh hey, Coven, Clutch, conspiracy, it all works.
Jesus. All right. So this one, we had some good ones. We had some good ones on this one, dude.
Yeah.
Something that I would actually write down and say, damn, if we could come up with a way of making an actual film out of this, we could probably sell it to the Sci-Fi Channel and hopefully get some little money for that. So with that, is there anything else that we need to discuss about the movie The Reptile?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
No, other than the fact that like most all of the Hammer movies, they just kind of end really abruptly. But it goes out in the blaze of glory, so we're all good with that. So, and none of our main three people actually die.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Like, because there's Hammer movies where literally everybody dies. I think there's a couple of Frankenstein movies where everybody just dies at the end. Oh yeah, it was actually the most recent one we saw. The Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. Mm-hmm. Everybody dies.
Everyone dies in that one. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that's one of the darker Frankensteins.
Yeah. So, okay, with that, I do want to thank you for joining us in this conversation about The Reptile. For everyone who's listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the movie from 1 to 5, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we like to do is we like to take an object, quote, or saying for the film to attribute to our quote. What is your rating, and what object, quote, or saying are you going to attribute to your rating for this film, Thomas?
Usually I have my idea as to what marvelous and terrible object I have in mind to rate this for, but I just looking at my notes and I never actually selected something. So I'm going to have to just use my off the dome and just go with my first instinct. I'm going to have to rate this movie. My object I'm going to pick. It's going to be. All right. I think it's going to be. Oh man, I'm not going to be. The first image that was kind of indelible to me when I first saw this, as far as an object, was the burning house with the credits streaming over it. I mean, it's not a particularly original thing. Like a lot of Hammers do this, but that was the first one of this type that I saw. And so I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with 4 out of 5 burning Hammer mansions with the credits running over the burning inferno. because, man, I had fun with this movie. This movie was really well done. It scared me. It actually legit scared me. And ladies and gentlemen, y'all modern horror guys out there, I mean, you're probably not listening to this podcast because, you know, you got other things to watch or listen to. But, you know, but if you got any kind of inclination towards classic horror, that's why you're here. You want to discover new stuff to watch. You want to discover new stuff that's new to you. And I'm telling you, folks, there's no such thing as an old movie. There's only something that is new to you. And I'm telling you out there, this movie is worth your time. Yeah. This movie will make you jump. This movie will make you go, what the heck? This movie will make you go, yikes. And this movie will make you go, that's cool. At least more than once.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, we've spoiled the heck out of it up and down, but you haven't had the experience. And I would say watch it also with somebody who has no idea what it's about. Just convince them that you're in for a good time. Like, I'm just telling you, just go in cold. It's called The Reptile. I know it's a bad title and it's so bland, but look, I'm telling you, it's good. Just sit down with me. And I'm telling you, it's a 4 out of 5 experience.
No, that's fine, because I was going to give it 4 too, but I was going to give it 4 of Tom's bars being emptied by Harry. There's 2 in the movie.
Tom empty bars.
Yeah, normally I do something gory or something crazy, but this time that's still it's funny to me in this film because Ripper is the bartender and he makes this off remark. So it's the second time you've emptied my bar. I love Ripper. I do. I didn't really know who he was. I knew his face before doing the podcast, but as we do these movies, we keep talking about him, and he's now becoming one of my favorite actors from this time period, along with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee and a lot of the other young ladies in these films that we see over and over again. He's now become one of those people I added. So that's what I give to film. I'm like you. I do think that this film is not as fondly remembered as I would like it to be, and I'm hoping that more younger audiences and more modern audiences get a chance to see it. But like you said, it's one of those films that, and in general, a lot of Hammer films that don't star Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee are not as talked about as we would like them to be. They kind of get forgotten because Hammer Studios seems to be remembered mostly for the Hammer ladies, which a lot of people don't remember all their names, which is kind of crazy to me because they did so many great movies. But they remember Christopher Lee and they remember Peter Cushing. So I hope that with this program, everyone who's listening, that you go out there and you seek out a lot of these other smaller and more unknown films out there, because there are some great gems out there. There really are some great gems out there, which is why we're doing the show, to kind of shed a highlight all the films within the Hammer Studio oeuvre, and we will get to every one of them, I promise, over the next couple years, because that's about how many we have left to get to. But with that, I hope that you've enjoyed our program. Please make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcast, your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. Regular episodes are every first and third Friday at 8 a.m., so you have a lot of fun there. You can also go to our other podcast, Conversations in Horror, which is every Wednesday at 8 a.m., but we also do some specially themed episodes on Mondays at 8 a.m., so you can check that out as well. Just check out the website and the schedule. You'll be glad that you have decided to take us on as your regular listening experience. From all of us here, have a pleasant day, and please make sure you stay away from those sulfur streams. Okay, they smell.
Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in the Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.